Okay, so we just heard from the Writers Guild of America executive director Lowell Peterson, and I thought it was only fair to bring on the opposing view, which is the executive director of AndyKindler.com, Andy Kindler, who has basically been blacklisted by show business, unable.
That's right.
And I thought we would hear a counterpoint.
Canceled.
Yeah, to what the you've
You know what's amazing? All these white people, all of these, and some of them have no talent at all, and yet they've been canceled somehow. They're not getting work. So any white person who's not getting work, they've been canceled. Isn't that obvious?
I mean, it happens in show business quite a bit. I mean, literally.
No, canceled. Even if you see a white person and they're in a movie and they're following along with the lips of the person that they're acting with, right? They're still, if anything happens to them, canceled.
I think I've told this story before, and I'll tell it again. When I don't know if you ever saw that thing called Beat Cops that I did with.
I loved it. You and H. John Benjamin.
Yeah. So I wrote and directed that. It was an independent. We actually did it twice. The first time I co-wrote and directed it. Co-wrote it with my friend Charlie Fisher, who you may remember from Who's the Caboose back in the day. And I hired Nick DiPaolo. This is in 1999, I think it was, or somewhere around there. I hired Nick DiPaolo to play like a tough cop to bully Benjamin and I. And I'm talking to Nick, and I didn't know him that well. I just, knew of him a little bit peripherally. And he's saying, yeah, no, I moved back from L.A. And I'm like, oh, well, why is that? Now, I had done a bunch of sitcoms at this point. Like, I had had quite a run. Like, I had done probably 7 or 8 in the course of 5 years. Right. And so I had run into a lot of different, like, character actors, right? And particularly at that time, they were so formulaic. These were all bad shows, incidentally, I should say. And Nick says to me, goes like, yeah, no, I can't stand it out there. You can't get a job as a white guy. And I was like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
Like, I literally did like 4 shows with a guy exactly like you.
Yeah. Yes.
The Italian guy who's just like, and I'm like, if you couldn't get a job, I got news for you, dude. It wasn't Hollywood. Like, there was so many jobs for white comedians, male comedians at that time, that it was like, you couldn't, like, you were working.
I was working. I mean, when you talk about a field that's open, and I look at, first of all, every time I've been on the set, they had to stop and say, Andy, not directly into the camera, not directly into the camera. And it's, so, and I'm working, but and many times they go, you are so terrible, but you are, of course, white. So we're going to see if we can.
Honestly, this was the time where there was the UPN, the WB, Fox, CBS, ABC, NBC, and they were all doing shows almost exclusively with comedians. There was no British actors who were coming in jobs like there are today. They didn't believe actors could, it was all, we're going to put as many stand-ups as we can into the half hour, and then we're just going to pump them out. And they were doing like 4 or 5 a night on all these networks. It was just like a complete seller as a comedian market. And to say that like there was too many like non-white shows in the 90s is just sort of like,
well, it's built in. Do you know how much racism was built into the business? I mean, the victims of it felt it all the time. But for example, like I used to do the speech in Montreal, and I would talk about in the 90s. I go, every time there's a black show with black people on it that doesn't work, Hollywood goes, well, we tried the black people. We had them all in one show. And but every time a white show fails, they don't go, we tried the white people again. Right. How come no one point? I mean, and just built in racism. That's just like not even considered.
Yeah, I mean, I think I became very conscious of it because the second show that I had done was called The Show. It was on for 8 or 9 episodes, and I was a whitehead variety. I was the whitehead writer of an all black variety show.
Right.
That was the premise of it, and
As if that's something that exists. Oh, right, we'll have it all black. It was like, as if that's...
It was the story of the executive producer, John Bowman, had done the Martin show.
And nobody's more urban than John Bowman.
And but the point being that I realized, like, after, it was only the second show I had ever done. I had auditioned for 2 shows, All American Girl, which I got, and then The Show, and that was it. And so I had no idea what auditioning was like in LA. And it wasn't until like the subsequent years after that I realized, like, I never see those guys anymore.
Yeah.
Like I see the same person. Like, I think I would walk down the street and I would see Greg Proops like 5 times a day. But I never saw like any of the folks I worked with on that show ever again. Like, it was a completely different, segregated world, particularly in the 90s in particular.
Oh, I think it was, yeah, I think it was probably...
I'm sure it was worse before then and maybe subsequent, but that was just like, when I was there.
Well, I was around during the 60s and 70s to some degree as a young child. And everybody was like then, oh, okay, we've solved all these civil rights things. Let's move it on now. And it's all...
You auditioned for the Dick Van Dyke Show.
I did, but here's the thing. I auditioned for Richie, the small child, and I hated that kid. Oh, my God. I tried to sabotage his audition.
You were too big. You were too big for that show.
Well, they'd say...
We need a little kid, Andy. Not a college, not a kid in college.
I could have been 4 years old on that show.
When you auditioned for the Sergeant Bilko show.
Yes. Back then, you didn't have, when you auditioned, they only had one microphone back then. Everybody had to gather around.
That's right. You were doing all those radio plays. Andy,
we had one joke. We had one joke when I started. One joke, Sam. That's it. We shared one joke. I had to walk 20 miles to get to the premise of a joke, another 30 miles to get to the punchline back in my day.
Now, wait a second. Are you in an office? Is this office in your home or are you in a different?
Hold on a second. I have a meeting coming up where I'll be interviewing someone in that chair.
Are you
see the chair?
Office off premise?
Oh, yes. I have an office. I'm not at my home.
I think you.
I'll have my sunny side over, as if my wife ever cooked me breakfast.
You're just pretending like what would happen if your wife was actually going to bring you lunch or breakfast.
Hold on 1 second, Seth. No, that's fine. No. French press is fine. No. French press is fine, even though I don't like French press. But the idea is I would accept it.
Right. Now that's your very, very amenable. Okay.
I think I'm going to keep her. My wife. I think I'll keep her. You don't even remember that commercial.
No, I don't think
It goes, my wife. I think I'll keep her. That was the punchline.
Oh my God.
You look good. You look handsome today. This is the way I thought I would look.
Fridays are always the day I try and dress. I know I shaved. That's what it was. I shaved.
No, but I wanted to look like you when I first came out of the womb. That's what I thought. Good looking Jew like you.
A lot of work done.
I have had a lot of work done too, but not on my act, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I was just finishing my lunch. I ordered the Crowder. It was really good. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and to hit the like button. Thank you. Can't do it without you.